Nadal breaks his silence on Alcaraz. Rafa Nadal, legend of Spanish tennis and winner of 22 Grand Slam titles, took part in the charity golf tournament of the Fundación Clínica Menorca, which celebrated its 24th edition at the La Herrería course in San Lorenzo de El Escorial. The event aimed to raise funds in the fight against breast cancer and also featured personalities such as José Luis Martínez Almeida, mayor of Madrid. Nadal spoke about the current state of the sport of tennis and, in particular, about the man of the moment, who also has a passion for golf, Carlos Alcaraz. Praise for Alcaraz's career. Nadal did not hesitate to heap praise on the Mercian, who at just 22 years old already has 6 majors. He is having an impressive career. He is a very special player, we have known that for years, but it is being confirmed over time. It seems that his career is on track to be something unique, he declared to the media. The Balearic admitted to feeling happy to see how Spain continues to have a world reference in tennis with the rise of Alcaraz. Having someone like him helps us to continue being a reference country in tennis, as we have been for many years. Carlos gives continuity to this whole era of success, not only in tennis, but in Spanish sport in general, he underlined. Comparisons and the Mercian's future. Asked whether he believes that Alcaraz can reach the numbers of Nadal himself or his historic rivals Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, the winner of 22 majors did not rule it out. Obviously he can do it, but he needs a long career and to be spared from injuries. Hopefully everything goes great for him, he has a brilliant future ahead, he explained. Nadal also agreed with Federer's words, who advised Alcaraz to think in the medium term. 5 years doesn't seem short term to me, on the contrary, in tennis many things can happen. The important thing is that he enjoys the moment and continues working with enthusiasm to improve every day. Even if you are number one, there is always room for improvement, he added. Finally, he wanted to put a stop to comparisons between the Big Three rivalry and the one now starring Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. We were us and that's it. Everyone has to live their own story, there's no need to compare all the time. Ours was a very special era, but now tennis goes on with new protagonists, Nadal concluded. Ferrer answers the big question, Alcaraz like Nadal? He's on the right path, but the captain of the Spanish Davis Cup team calls for prudence with the comparisons. I don't want to add more pressure. The comparison is inevitable, Carlos Alcaraz and Rafa Nadal. The young Mercian already has 6 Grand Slams and the tennis world wonders what his ceiling might be. The captain of Spain in the Davis Cup, David Ferrer, asks for prudence. Although he is convinced that he is witnessing a brutal talent. In Marca, Ferrer asks to go step by step. It's true that he is on a very good trajectory and has the conditions, but careers are very long and there are many factors that can influence. He's on the right path, but I don't want to add more pressure. Year by year. I think he is very well covered emotionally, at family level and with his technical team. He is doing things very well and we hope he keeps the same hunger over the next 10 or 15 years, says the captain of the Spanish Davis Cup team. His victory over Jannik Sinner at the US Open has been one of the most solid of his career. Ferrer has seen Carlos playing like never before. And he highlights the serve. For me, it has been the best Grand Slam he has won in terms of tennis. With that maturity, that tennis calm, that ability to defend by attacking. The serve. If you see the match point with Casper Ruud in 2022 and Sunday's final with Jannik Sinner, you realize his evolution in the serve, explains the former Spanish player. And he stresses that Carlitos is working to improve season after season. That shows that he is a player who wants to evolve every year. Donald Trump describes Carlos Alcaraz in his own way and surprises everyone. The President of the United States, who was not well received at the match against Sinner, has responded about what he saw. This year's US Open had an unexpected protagonist beyond the court. Donald Trump, former President of the United States and a figure always surrounded by controversy, made headlines during the tournament. His presence at the final between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner did not go unnoticed, generating mixed reactions both inside and outside the stadium. The sequence began days earlier, when Alcaraz was asked about Trump in one of his press conferences. The Spaniard responded naturally, without giving it too much importance, as befits a tennis player who prefers to focus on the game rather than politics. I'll try not to think about it. I don't want to get nervous. It's fantastic for tennis that the President of the United States is in the final, he said. However, the question was not gratuitous. It was already speculated that the former president might attend the final if the young Mercian managed to qualify. And so it was. The duel between Alcaraz and Sinner, 2 of the best on the current circuit, became the scenario chosen by Trump to make an appearance. Boos for Donald Trump. The Tycoon's arrival at the Arthur Ashe Stadium was not exactly discreet. As usually happens with figures of his caliber, the security deployment was massive. Agents, controls and a meticulous protocol accompanied his arrival, which ended up causing the start of the match to be delayed. This fact inflamed the audience, who reacted with boos. Some of the attendees interpreted that delay as an unnecessary show of protagonism and did not hesitate to express their displeasure. Now he has spoken about what he saw. The match was just another duel between the two best tennis players in the world. I loved it. First, both players have incredible talent. It seems like they hit the ball harder than I had seen before, incredible talent. And I enjoyed it, he said, with good humor and in a positive way, when something else was expected. Trump emphasized that it had been a long time since he attended the tournament so frequently, but that he once again enjoyed the experience. I used to always go before. Regarding the boos, Trump tried to play them down with a conciliatory speech. The fans were very kind. I didn't know what to expect. Normally, you would say it was a somewhat progressive crowd, as they say these days, he noted. With this, he hinted that he wasn't sure how he would be received in an environment traditionally perceived as closer to liberal positions. Even so, he was positively surprised and preferred to highlight the cordiality over the disapproval. The truth is that his attendance added an extra layer of spectacle to a final that was already highly anticipated. Alcaraz and Sinner staged another showdown in a rivalry that is marking the history of tennis. Trump left controversy behind and decided to highlight the talent on court and the excitement of the match. Carlos Alcaraz is scheduled until the end of the season. After winning the US Open and after withdrawing from the Davis Cup, the world number one will have a busy tour until December. After winning the US Open last Sunday, Carlos Alcaraz announced that he would withdraw for rest from the preliminary round of the Davis Cup finals against Denmark. The Mercian will reappear at the 8th edition of the Laver Cup, from September 19 to 21, in San Francisco. He will then start the Asian Tour with the ATP 500 Tokyo, from September 24 to 30, which will replace the ATP 500 in Beijing that he lifted in 2024. From Tokyo he will fly to Shanghai to play the Masters 1000, one of the few silver tournaments he still doesn't have, from October 1 to 12. Riyadh will be the next stop with the Six Kings Slam, from October 15 to 18, in Saudi Arabia. Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, Alexander Zverev, Taylor Fritz and Jack Draper will join him in the lineup. Then comes the Masters 1000 Paris, from October 27 to November 2, as a prelude to the 2025 ATP Finals, which will be played from November 9 to 16 in Turin. If Spain beats Denmark in the Davis Cup, Alcaraz could be present in the finals from November 18 to 23 in Bologna. Finally, Carlitos will close the season with an exhibition on December 7 in New Jersey alongside Frances Tiafoe, Emma Raducanu, and Amanda Anisimova. The fortune Carlos Alcaraz pocketed for winning the US Open, the biggest prize in history. The Mercian tennis player pocketed a record figure after becoming the champion of the US Open to claim the sixth major of his career. Carlos Alcaraz regained the throne of tennis as world number one after defeating Jannik Sinner in the US Open final. The Mercian proved to be the most informed player on the circuit, dropping only one set throughout the tournament, and that was against the Italian in the final. In this way, the man from El Palmar achieved his sixth major on the same stage where he began writing this story in 2022 and pocketed the biggest prize in the history of a Grand Slam. The US Open has significantly increased the amounts allocated to prizes. The rise, considerable, has occurred in all rounds of the championship in an attempt to meet the salary expectations of the players. Alcaraz, as champion, has earned almost 40% more than the previous winner, Jannik Sinner. The Mercian has collected €4,250,000 for his performance in the singles championship. In addition, €17,000 should be added, shared between the new world number one and Emma Raducanu for their participation in mixed doubles. Therefore, in total, the Mercian tennis player obtained €4,257,500 during the US Open. A record figure. Aryna Sabalenka also bathes in gold. The winner of the Women's Championship also earned €4,257,000. The same amount as the champion of the men's draw, as is usual in a sport where prizes are equal. The taxes Alcaraz will pay to the treasury after winning the US Open. The tennis player earned a purse of $5 million, €4.3 million. Carlos Alcaraz's victory at the US Open against Jannik Sinner allowed him to access the most substantial purse in the history of tennis. The Spaniard lifted the trophy and took home $5 million, about €4.3 million at the current exchange rate. The prize, however, is subject to taxes and the Treasury will receive a large part of this check, although first it must also pass through the U.S. tax system. In any case, there will be no double taxation and the tennis player will not pay the entire prize twice. Carlos Alcaraz is a tax resident in Spain, so he pays his taxes in our country and is subject to national and regional tax rates. The national IRPF bracket, for income over €300,000, is 24.5%. In addition, we must add the regional bracket of Murcia, which amounts to 22.5% on amounts exceeding €60,000.